eFlip is a software that I utilize to find outlier books that I can buy online for cheap that I already know are selling at a high sales velocity on Amazon for more and make the difference in profit, hence the book flipping arbitrage. Okay, so I'm going to run you through a tutorial here on how to use eFlip just like I do. You can take this information, start sourcing after this video, and start making money flipping books with eFlip just like I show you here today. So what I like to do when I first hop on eFlip, and I've talked about this before, is I'll set all the parameters up to the maximum and the minimum, all except this one right here with minimum used price as a cent, right? And I'll hit search. And what that's going to do is every once in a while, it's going to show me outlier books that are like a cent or super, super cheap. You see here, the cheapest one right now is about 50 cents. But every once in a while, I want to hit this, and it's just kind of like a habit that I have when I first log on to see if I can get any books very, very cheaply to my door, right? There's a number of reasons I like to personally do that. I'm more focused on the sales because I'm trying to hit a maximum approval, which is 2,000 sales in a 6-month period. So if I can source something super, super cheap that's a quality book right to my door for a cent, I'm going to get it and I'm going to relist it even if I don't make any money. And often if you're getting it for a cent, you obviously will on that. Even if I don't make any money, I'm interested in the sale. So I just like to do that, and you can get cheap inventory doing that. So every once in a while, like I said, you'll see a few here that are like a cent or like 9 cents or 10 cents. And I'll literally add them all to my cart and buy them to my door via Amazon for like whatever it is total, like whatever that would be, like 29 cents for 3 books. And then I relist them and I end up making a couple bucks just selling those 3 books. But more importantly to me, I get the sale. Okay, so now let's sort through and I'll show you how I like to play around with these parameters. Now, there's a number of ways that you can use eFlip to make money reselling books, okay? And there's a number of ways that you can use the software to find outlier books. You can find outlier books that are, cheaper used books and then ship them into FBA and sell them at a higher price to get the used book buy box, because in some books there's a used book buy box and then there's a new book buy box. So it's a little bit different than other products. With books, there tends to be usually a used and a new, and you'll see that here when we go through here in a second. You can also sort and source new books that are cheaper on other marketplaces, and then you know that they're selling more on Amazon for a high sales velocity. So I'm going to show you examples most likely of both of those. We're going to run through like I would source any other day. One of the things that I like to do is I'll move these levers and I'll explain to you why and my thought process behind them here in a second, so you understand a little bit more, so you can go ahead and kind of find different outlier books that other people aren't finding. But what I like to do is I'll sort these levers here, and I'll show you that here in a second. But one of the things that you'll notice is when you move these down, for example, max rank. What I'm going to set the max rank to is maybe like 250,000 right now, and you'll see that there's certain tiers as you move them. It goes 250 to 500 to about 750 to a million to 2 million and 1,500, etc., etc., etc. Right? Same thing with max use price. Right? If I move this up, it's going to go to 10 cents. 25 cents, all the way up to $1, $2, $3. So there's tiers here. But what I like to do is, because every once in a while, it's just like doing product research on like a private label product, right? You want to use the levers, but you also want to find different books and different looks that other people might not be seeing. So what I'll do, and if you see here, it's 2010, it goes to 2012, maybe, and this should move up to 2014. Okay, so we're going to leave it here at 2013 here to give you an example. But if I move all these down to like 250, I like to use Jungle Scout, and I'll show you that here in a second, to get a legitimate estimate of the books as well. And that's another reason you want Jungle Scout. It's well worth its weight in gold. I think it's a $99 yearly payment now for Jungle Scout. I don't even really track it. It's in my expenses spreadsheet. I don't really even pay attention to it. But it's well worth it whether you're sourcing other arbitrage products or books. So enough talking. Let me show you what I mean. We're going to take this actually down to like 2011 right here. So we're going to type in 2011. And that's exactly what I was getting at with these levers, right? So most people are going to go, okay, max rank 250 or max rank 500. But instead, I'm going to come in and I'm going to type 350, and that's going to give me other looks between 250 and 350 that other people might not be seeing if they didn't otherwise type that in, right? They might just set their parameters at 250, and then they're not seeing those other books that are within 250 to 350 that I might see that might be good buys. So that's what I like to do and play around with. I don't ever really change max use or max new offers too much. I don't really care about that. One thing that is important, though, is the trade-in value. So I always like to go, you'll see the levers here, 5 or 10. I'm going to go like $9 trade-in value here. I didn't mean to do that. Where's the trade-in value? $9 here on the trade-in value, because like I said again, if someone hits the lever at 5, if someone hits the lever at 10, they're not gonna otherwise see the ones that are 9, in between $9 and $10 trade-in value if I type in 9, excuse me. So I'm getting different looks of products that other people might not otherwise see. Okay, so for the max Amazon price, I'm gonna drop this at like 30. I'm gonna take it to 40, and then we'll go like $38. Again, same kind of general thought process here. I'm typing in numbers that are close, but different looks that other people might not see. And I didn't mean to actually do that there. Why does this keep messing with me? So 9 here. So now we have 2011 max publish date. We're at 350 for the max rank and max average rank. Didn't change these at all. Max trade-in value is 9. Max Amazon price is 38. Max new price is 38. And we'll move the used price all the way up to like we'll go $5 right here, okay? Or you know what? We're actually going to type in $490. 491. Why not, right? And what that's going to do is that's going to give me different looks as to, what other people might not be typing in. And obviously, the more you see some of these tutorials, the more you'll understand, how to set these numbers up. The reason I like the max publish date right here, minimum 2011, is because that's going to give me more relevant textbooks or books, and especially same thing with the trade-in value here. You always want to have the trade-in value levered up, and that's going to give you a better example of textbooks. And if they have a trade-in value, that they're still their most recent edition, or at least that edition is still in demand at certain colleges. Okay, now this isn't always just textbooks with this software, but clearly that's what I'm focused on right now. It's the beginning of Q4. Where we're approaching October here. It's about the end of September. Don't have my months right. And obviously Q4 the sales velocity on Amazon so super high. So I might sell all these textbooks super fast in Q4, but even if they don't sell, they're going to sell a lot faster and for a higher margin in the beginning of the spring textbook season, which I believe is about the end of December to like mid or early February. So regardless, I have a window right here of like 5 to 6 months potentially where these textbooks are going to sell for a higher margin and a lot faster. So that's why I'm sourcing right now. Now, you don't ever have to really play around with like the account type right here, personal or business, and you don't ever have to really pay attention with show rentals. I don't really ever show the rentals, but you can. And I also don't really ever click Amazon Smile, although you can. If you do end up buying like a used book on Amazon from a cheaper seller, then you might want to do Amazon Smile, because that's just going to donate a portion of your purchase price on Amazon to a charity. So you can always click that if you want. It doesn't hurt you, but it is going to help charities. If you're paying for books, you might as well. Okay, so then we're going to hit search, and all these parameters are going to go into the software, and it's going to shoot me out textbooks that fit all of those parameters. Okay, so that's where we are right now. You also, just like any other form of arbitrage, right? You always want to have your Seller Central open with inventory add a product, so that we add these ISBNs, into Seller Central to make sure that we indeed can sell them. Now you might, and this is a misconception that I had as well when I first started selling books, you might think that you can sell every single book because books are not a gated category, right? Whereas other brands are gated, other categories are sometimes gated. But actually, Amazon has started gating some of the the highest ranked textbooks. So if you get a textbook that's ranked like 10,000 in that category, or like 50,000 in that category, sometimes it will be gated and you won't be able to sell it. So it's important to always check. 99.9% of the time, you're going to be able to sell the book, obviously, but it's always just important to check, so you're not dropping like 30 to 40 bucks on a book and finding out that you can't sell it, because that would be bad, right? So it's also important to keep track of your inventory, and once we get a potential good buy, I'll show you kind of how I do it. I like to do it this way. I'll have like title of the book so I know exactly what comes. So when it comes to my house, I'll check my spreadsheet and be like, okay, this came. Same thing with a link to the book on Amazon, so that I don't play any guessing games in the future. I'm not scanning it in, because when you do use the seller app, or you're scanning a book in, obviously most of the time it's going to give you the right book in the right condition, in the right variation, and so on and so forth. However, it does sometimes scan in and give you a different copy of the book, or a different version of the book, or a different book altogether. So I don't want to play any guessing games. I just like to have the link, and I'll literally go in, click the link, grab the ISBN, and add it to Seller Central via my laptop from the link. So I'm not playing any guessing games, and I just know, okay? I also keep track of whether it was delivered or not. And if you see here, this should be Y's because they're green. So to give you an example, what I do when I first order something, I'll have it red, so I'll fill it in red, right? And then I'll have an N for no, it hasn't been delivered to my house yet. I haven't received it yet. When it does get delivered to my house, I'll fill it in with a Y and green, so I know, okay, I've gotten this book now. I'm either waiting to ship it in with a bunch of other books into FBA, or I've shipped it into FBA. Now the gray means that it's obviously sold already, and then you'll see obviously what it's sold for, the fees and the profit. I also keep track, if I remember, and I don't always remember here, where did I buy this book from, so that I know in the future, if I run into any issues, where to look for that book, and where to source it, okay? Also write down the condition, and what I purchased it for. It's important to keep track of these things, because when you're buying and you're scaling this up to any certain degree, it can be very, very easy to lose track of your purchase prices, lose track of your inventory, meaning whether or not you've sold them yet, whether or not you still have that inventory in your possession, whether or not it's been delivered to you, and what you purchased it for, so you know exactly what to sell it for, so that most importantly, you know what you made, right? We're all in this to make a profit, and it's very easy if you're scaling up to any certain degree to keep track of your inventory and your profits and your expenses, right? What you've actually spent on these, if you're not keeping track of it. So I always recommend keeping track of it. You can kind of model yours after mine if you want, or you can kind of do your own thing. Just make sure to keep track of your inventory, what you're purchasing it for, and obviously what you make, okay? So now let's run through some examples of books, and I'll show you examples. I haven't set this up at all. I'll show you examples of bad books, good books, ones that might be good for certain reasons, one that might be bad for certain reasons. I'll show you different examples and how I use this software to find good books. Okay, so I'm going to click this link right here, and it's going to take me to the Amazon link to where this book actually is. And I'm going to click the books because I want the book right there, the picture, because I want to see the product detail page, right? I'm interested in two things: the used buy box and the new buy box, right? Now I'm going to come down, I'm going to click this down arrow, and I'm going to go to the book finding software that's hooked up to eFlip, and I want to see, okay, what is my opportunity here? What can I source it potentially used? The right column over here is always used books, and it's going to show me different examples of used books in order of cheapest purchase price to most expensive purchase price, and same thing over here on the left with new. So it's going to tell me all different places on the internet where you can find new books and the price, and used books and the price, and then I'm going to weigh those discrepancies to see if there's an opportunity here on the product detail page where I can then buy that book cheaper, ship it into FBA, and make a return on my investment, okay? So things that we're going to use here in a second are the Jungle Scout Chrome extension, like I said before. I think it's $99 a year, I don't really remember. Another thing that we use every once in a while is the Online Seller add-on plugin. That's free. And another thing that we use is the AMZ Scout FBA calculator. It's going to run the numbers off for us here in a second to see, and we can track if we are indeed profitable, what the actual fees are on that book via Amazon if we ship it into FBA, and what we can expect to make, okay? All these things are important to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind too is one of the things that people do, kind of ignore from time to time is that you'll see every once in a while that if there's a major discrepancy, not always and not even often, but sometimes if there's the discrepancy between the new purchase price on Amazon and maybe you can get one of these for $10 over here, it's important to remember to check that it is the same variation. One of the things that you can't sell on Amazon is the international editions. So if I come across an example of that, and it's always important to check to see if that's in the description, if I come across an example of that, I will show you and point it out to you. Just know that you can't buy an international edition and sell it back on Amazon under the normal edition, okay? Understand that going forward. I will show you an example of that because I'm sure one will pop up eventually, but this doesn't look to be an example of that, okay? So obviously new is not an opportunity for me to make money right here, right? Because the buy box price is $63 and the cheapest price I can get it over here is $58.51, right? So there's no opportunity to make any money there. There's also not an opportunity with this book to make money selling it used because the cheapest, or the buy box price on used right here, is $20.12, and the cheapest I can get is $17.67, right? So after maybe taxes or shipping, depending on what that actually is, and that's the next step when we find a good product, I'll show you how to actually go ahead and make sure that you're profitable. But there's really no profit margin here selling it used or selling it new, so this is a bad book to potentially buy. Let's move on to the next one. And obviously I do this very, very fast, but I'm just kind of slowing it down and breaking it down for you to explain my thought process, different opportunities, why they're bad, why they're good, so that you can understand it so you can go do this yourself, okay? But obviously I go through these pretty fast, and when I have 5 to 10 minute downtime, I'll just sort through eFlip and try to find some books. buy a couple, put them on my spreadsheet, and then when they come, I'll ship them in bulk into FBA with like maybe 10 to 50 other books, and it's super, super cheap, okay? So once again, we click the link. That was the first thing, and I think I already clicked that other one. So we clicked the link. It took us to this right here. Then we're going to click the picture of the book because I'm interested in the buy box, right? The new buy box and the used buy box. So it looks like it's selling new on Amazon. The buy box is $51.47. The used buy box is $27.82. So then we want to come down to the book finder and we want to see, is there an opportunity to buy this online and make money on it? So used price is $27.82. That might be an opportunity, although it's probably not that great of an opportunity because after fees right here, there's probably not that much money to make. If you're spending $18, you might make like $4 or $5 potentially, and I just know that from experience, but I'll show you that as an example here in a second, okay? Now, there's not that big of an opportunity. There's no opportunity really buying it new because the new buy box here is $51.47 and the cheapest I can get it is $46.26, okay? So that's a bad example of a new buy box. Let's see. Used I already know is a bad example, but let me show you, okay? And like I said too, I would run through this super fast and sort like, 5 to 10 books in like a couple minutes. So it's okay if you're finding like 3 to 5 books or like 10 books even or 20 books even that are bad. All you really need is one, and then you can make a good margin, and then you just keep doing that over and over and over and over and over again. There are tens of millions of books in the eFlip software that you can use and find outliers on. There's opportunity there, and it's immense. So let's use the AMZ Scout calculator right here to see if it's profitable selling the new copy of this book and shipping it into FBA, okay? All right, so every once in a while, because this is the free version, it does get a little finicky, and when I click it, it doesn't pop up, and it doesn't look like Jungle Scout's popping up either, so it might be something with my browser right now. I'd have to restart my computer, but because we're in the middle of a tutorial, we are not going to do that, okay? But we can just guesstimate based on the bestseller rank, so we're going to use that instead of Jungle Scout, and obviously this shows 99,000 in books, so it's selling pretty well. We already know that. And we can just pull up the FBA calculator that Amazon provides us and use that here because obviously AMZ Scout calculator is being difficult and it's got to make my job difficult, okay? So what I want to do is I want to take the ISBN right here and I'm going to take it in the fulfillment calculator right here and see what the margin is, okay? So to ship it into Amazon, I'm going to say 50 cents, and we are under the Amazon fulfillment category right here. I'm saying 50 cents because I'm never going to ship this one book into Amazon myself. Usually I ship it in with like 50 other books or like 10 other books or sometimes even like 20 other books depending on how many books I accumulate at once, how many I've bought. And when I find that, okay, I have enough, I'm going to ship them into FBA now. So I'm never shipping one-off books. It's always very, very cheap. The item price to me is, and we're going to check this to make sure that there's no tax or shipping here. So we're going to click this, and it looks like if we add this to the cart, it looks like $8.29. $8.29 with, where's the shipping? Proceed to the checkout. And it is free shipping. So it does become, it is $8.29 total. So $8.29 is the actual price to us, right? The item price is $18.29. Then the cost, $18.29. It's been so long since I've actually used this one. $18.29 is the cost of the product. The item price is, what's the buy box price used, is $27.82, okay? So $27.82. And that's going to probably tell us that there's a small margin. This isn't even a good one because it's no margin, right? I'm losing $1.72. So like I said, that is an example of a bad product and you want to avoid that. So we're going to find another example of a good one really fast. I'm going to start going through this pretty fast to show you so I can find one and give you an example of a good one that you can buy and make money off of. So again, we're on the product detail page of this third one right here. We're going to click the book finder to see what our opportunity to buy it and if there's a margin here. The new buy box is 46 roughly. The used buy box is about 33. So there's an opportunity to buy this used and make money. There is not really an opportunity to buy it new because the discrepancy in price isn't really there. I can buy it for $46, that's the cheapest, but then it sells for $10 more. So after shipping it into Amazon and after the fees, I might either not net anything or even lose money or maybe make $1 or $2, but it's not worth my while to spend $36 and make $1 or $2, right? So now we're focused on the used one right here. So the used buy box is at $32.95. And it looks like I can potentially buy this on Amazon. You'll see here, it's literally listed back on Amazon, a perfect example of buying this as a used book from somebody that's not in FBA, right? So it doesn't have their book in FBA for $11.95 and then shipping it into FBA and potentially grabbing the buy box at $32.95, right? So you can sometimes see that if you ship it into FBA, you can win the buy box at a lot higher price. And because I have good seller metrics, I can also do that pretty well. And I would probably end up shipping this into FBA and sharing the buy box at $32.95 with this seller right here and making good margin. So this is probably a good book. Let me show you an example of this. If I go to $11.95 and click the $11.95 right here, and there's another opportunity to buy this at $11.99 and $14.96. So this is a perfect example. If we go back to my my spreadsheet right here, see I bought 3 of these right here, 3 times governance and policy and sport, 5 times of this one. And you'll see that I purchased these on Amazon. This is exactly what I did right here for that price right there, and that averaged out at that a book. So that's what I paid per book. That's what I paid for 3 of those. That's what I paid per book in average. That's what I paid for 5 of those, right? Same thing with this one. If I found that I could potentially make good margin on $11.95 and there's still good money to be made, I might buy all 3 of these and then just average them out total and ship them into FBA and make good money. Okay, there's a good opportunity to do so, but just trying to spitballing ideas for you to keep it, to spur ideas for you so you can use it to make money in whatever way you wish. Okay, so right here, use acceptable for what is that? $11.95 right here plus a little bit of tax. So let's add this up on the calculator and we'll see exactly what our cost is, right? So $7, because I'm not going to add it to my cart. Obviously, 99.9% of the time I would add it to my cart and let Amazon tell me, but I don't want to show you my address, so I'm not going to do that. Plus $4.95 plus 72 cents taxes ends up being, that is not right. I added something wrong there. 7 plus $4.95, must have had a wrong decimal place, plus 72 cents is $12.67 for this book, okay? And remember, it is selling, so $12.67, I can ship it into FBA for $32.95, so hopefully this works now, but I doubt it will. Of course, why would it? So the item price, let's actually take the ISBN really fast. And it's so much easier when this actually does work because it's just a drop down and has all the information for you already. But like I said, check out the other book eFlip tutorials if you want to see me use that. Because it's not working right now and I don't feel like, because I'm in the middle of the tutorial and already recording, I'm just going to go through and use the FBA calculator that Amazon has to show you an example of that, okay? So what I want to do then is I want to come in and I'm going to paste this into the FBA calculator. So we're going to paste the ISBN. And it looks like 10 steps. It looks like it has both of those. 10 steps. And it looks like it's this one. And it doesn't really all like if there's 2 of them like that, it's more important that you get it right when you actually list it in Seller Central. But if you're just using the FBA calculator, they're both roughly the same. The only reason that you care about using the FBA calculator is to get a good idea of the fees. So you're worried about like the weight and the size of it. But if they're roughly similar, like hardback or paperback, they're going to be pretty similar as well. So just get a good idea of if it's profitable or not. So the item price to ship it into Amazon, again, is going to be 50 cents. Like I said, I always estimate because I ship multiple things at once. The item price on Amazon, right, the prime price for used is $32.95. So $32.95. The cost of my product is, what did we say? $12.67. So let's go back, $12.67. And that's going to tell me that I'm going to make a profit of about $7.76, right? So if I buy this book for $12.67 via this other seller right here, Once Upon a Time Books, and they have good ratings, so that's a good sign. It's used acceptable. The buy box is also used acceptable, so it's not like a used like new condition. So I'm not competing against used like new to win the buy box. So I can definitely win the buy box against this person, or at least match the buy box price and share it with them. So I'm gonna go ahead and buy this for $12.67 from this seller right here, and I'm gonna ship it into FBA, list it at the same price, match the buy box, and eventually make $7.76, right? So that's like 75% return on my investment, roughly. I'm just spitballing in my head right now because I'm gonna make $7.76 back on $12.67, and let's see how fast it's gonna sell, right? Because another thing that's important is we need to make sure that A, we can sell it, and it does sell fast. So this is a really, really, really low ranking in books. It's 24,000, so it's probably selling very, very quickly. Remember, anything under 1 million is going to sell. You probably want to stay under 500,000 to be safe and have it sell quickly. Although if there's a great margin on something, like $100 margin or something, for example, like this one right here, there was like a $40 margin. This one right here, there's an $80 margin. I remember this one sold, the buy box price was $179. I bought it for $63, and I think the rank was like 800 something thousand, right? But it eventually sold anyway, and I made a good margin on it. So it all depends on how long you're willing to wait on your money to get it back, and how much you're spending, right? There's so many different nuances. I'm just giving you examples. So because Jungle Scout, like my computer's not working right now for whatever reason, it seems like I need to reboot it. These plugins just stopped working. So we want to make sure that we can sell it because it is a very, very low rank, and we can sell it in new, collectible, and used conditions. So that's an example of a great book that you can go ahead and buy for, like I said, $12.67 from this other seller right here. If I add this to my cart and buy it, and then I'm going to ship it into FBA and make that money. Now, I would also go back and I might buy this one for $11.99, knowing that I'm already profitable. And I'll probably stay away from this because I'm only going to make $7 on it, so I don't want to add like another $4 or $3 or whatever that is to my profit margin. But this one's only 4 cents more, so I would go ahead and buy this as well, okay? So there's a great example of another product. Now, I'm not just going to ship those 2 books into FBA, right? I'm also going to go through and sort through all these other books, go to a couple more pages and sort through all these other books, maybe do like a half hour or an hour of product research and find like 10 to 20 that I'm going to put into this spreadsheet. And then once they come to my house, I'm going to ship them all into FBA, make sure I list them for the right price, match the buy box potentially, and then just collect the money and let Amazon do all the legwork for me.